Good morning, dear students. Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to study the poem A Thing of Beauty by John Keats. Before I introduce the poem to you, I would like to talk about the poet for some time. So I'm going to start very shortly, dear students, just a couple of seconds for others to join. Sakshi, good morning. Vedant, good morning. Pratik, good morning. Okay, let me begin. Dear students, John Keats belongs to second generation of Romantic poet with Lord Byron and P.B. Shelley. So, dear students, let me tell you what is Romanticism in English literature all about. Romanticism is the phase in English literature where all the poets of that era or of that age started turning towards nature. Nature and its pristine beauty is the core theme of all the Romantic poets. So, Romanticism in literature means turning the attention of the theme of poetry to nature. Other characteristics of Romanticism in literature includes use of simple language, everyday language, so that the poetry is accessible to the layman or to the very common man in the society. So that was also one of the characteristics of Romanticism in poetry. The language that will be used for writing poetry will be very simple for the layman to understand. Okay, therefore this is another characteristic of Romanticism in literature. Then the third characteristic of Romanticism in literature is the turning towards supernatural elements. Supernatural means it can be a ghost, it can be a spirit, it can be God. So turning towards the supernatural characters, supernatural elements is also one of the features of Romanticism. Okay, and most of the Romantic poets, like the famous Romantic poets like Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley, John Keats, William Wordsworth, and Lord Alfred Tennyson. You know, Lord Alfred Tennyson, other era. Sorry, John Keats basically, John Keats, Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley, and William Wordsworth. They are the renowned Romantic poets. Okay, there are some more, but they are the pillars of Romanticism, you can say. So you've understood what is Romanticism in literature. Let me recap once again before I proceed. Number one, Romantic poets dealt with nature and her pristine beauty in their poems. Romantic poets made use of very simple language so that their poetry is accessible to the most common people in the society. Third feature is Romantic poets turn towards supernatural elements, okay, like ghost, spirit, or the Almighty God. Okay, and Romantic poetry also deals with the common everyday problem, okay, of the society. Common everyday problem, the problem of the common man in the society. Okay, so these are some of the core characteristics of Romanticism in English literature. Next, you can see Nagga, good morning. Next, you can see by the end of 19th century, he became one of the most beloved of all English poets. John Keats became one of the most beloved of all English poets by the end of the 19th century. Dear students, for your information, John Keats lived lived in this world for very few number of years. He died at the age of 26 years only. Okay, it is said that if John Keats would have lived till 60 or 70 years of age, then he could have even surpassed William Shakespeare, okay, in poetic works. Okay, so he was very, very talented, but due to tuberculosis, you might have heard about the disease that was very much prevalent in those days, okay, in the 80s and 1800s and early 1900s, that is tuberculosis. Okay, there was no medicine for that. Okay, so he fell victim to the disease called tuberculosis, and he died at a very tender age of 26 years. First of all, he did not have any, at the start of his career, he did not have any plan of becoming a poet. Understood? But writing poetry was his passion from his childhood onwards. But he did not think to take it up as a profession at that time. He studied medicine. Okay, John Keats studied medicine. He became a physician, but as his passion was poetry, so the profession of medicine or profession of doctor did not interest him much, because he was born to be a poet. Therefore, he started turning towards poetry later on and gave up his medical profession and took up writing as his full-time profession. Okay, so the passion of writing poetry became his full-time obsession. Therefore, and moreover, he was very talented. He was a born poet. Therefore, even though he lived for 26 years, but still he made an indelible mark in the history of English literature. His poetry is regarded to be very, very high rated till today. Okay, and is taught all across the globe. Okay. Next, dear students, Kanchan, good morning. His poetry is characterized by the sensual imagery, especially in series of odes. Okay, odes poems he has written. So sensual imagery. Sensual imagery means imagery that immediately appeals to your senses. Okay, imagery means the picture of something that he will describe in the poem will appeal to your senses very much. Okay, you can visualize them and it will appeal to you. That is what is called sensual imagery. Then his notable works are To Autumn, Ode to a Nightingale, On First Looking into Chapman's Homer, Ode on a Grecian Arm. These are his famous poems. Okay, he has written many poems, and there are many more notable poems are also there, but these are some of the very, very popular poems. A Thing of Beauty is based on a Greek legend in which Endymion, legend Endymion, okay, it's a poetic romance. So he has taken the theme from the Greek story, Greek legend, the name of whom is Endymion. Okay, and it's a poetic romance. Okay, of course, in this poem you will not find any trace of Endymion, but if you read his greater works, okay, because A Thing of Beauty is also an extract. If you read his greater work, if you read his original work, okay, you can find the trace of Endymion or mention of Endymion there. Okay, Arnish, good morning. Okay, now let's move on to the next part, that is the theme of the poem. Let us know what is the poem all about. Okay, so let's find out. The poem highlights how various objects of nature are a perennial source of pleasure for human beings. Okay, objects of nature, dear students, objects of nature mean trees, you can say river, water stream, falls, waterfalls, it could be flowers. Okay, it could be anything that exists in nature in its pristine form. Okay, so the poem highlights the fact that how various objects of nature gives us perennial source of pleasure. Perennial means something that keeps lasting forever. Okay, perennial source of pleasure for human beings. Okay, next you see, a beautiful object is always treasured in our mind because it provides us eternal and everlasting joy. A beautiful object. A beautiful object, whatever it could be a beautiful flower, it could be beautiful waterfalls, or it could be anything beautiful that exists in its pristine form in nature, provides us eternal and everlasting joy. It makes a lasting impression in our mind, and we remember it for many days to come. Okay, so this is also one of the core themes of the poem. It could be anything beautiful. Okay, a beautiful object. Okay, so if you relate it to your everyday life, apart from nature, it could be anything that gives you perennial source of pleasure. Okay, it could be the work of art, it could be a painting, it could be a poster, it could be the life story of a famous personality, it could be your role model, it could be anything that gives you pleasure on day in and day out basis. That is what is called a beautiful object metaphorically. Okay, so a beautiful object is always treasured in our mind because it provides us eternal and everlasting joy. Next you see, an object of beauty never fades into insignificance. Okay, so an object of beauty never fades into insignificance, but multiplies many folds whenever it returns to our mind. Okay, dear students, as you know that we create memories with every passing day. Okay, today's beautiful moments can be a very beautiful memory for tomorrow. Okay, so as human beings we create memories on an everyday basis. Okay, and that particular memory, if that happens to be a pleasant memory, okay, then it has a deep impression in our mind, and it helps us to sustain or the stress and storms of life. Okay, because whenever you can see, like whenever we get bogged down by the anxiety, bogged down by the worries, stress, strains, storms of life, we tend to lean back to something which gives us pleasure, so as to forget our unpleasant present. Understood? So the poet says that an object of beauty gives us a relief. Okay, gives us a relief, and it multiplies many folds whenever it returns to our mind. So during our moment of stress, anxiety, we can lean back on or turn back on to these beautiful objects or beautiful memories, so that they provide us some temporary relief from the unpleasant present of in our life. Understood? Next, the poem focuses on the theme of happiness and how it can be experienced. Okay, so what does the poem focus? It focuses on the theme of happiness and how it can be experienced. Okay, so as I told you, dear students, let me just recap what the poem is all about. A beautiful object of nature is an object of perennial source of pleasure for all of us. Okay, on an everyday basis we create memories, and our pleasant memories become a source of sustenance for us. Okay, for tomorrow's unpleasant moment. Understood? Whenever you might have observed, like whenever we feel stressed out, whenever we feel anxious, anxiety, or whenever we feel too much bogged down by the work pressure, what do we do? Normally, either we go for an outing because it gives us pleasure, or we can turn to listening to music or watch a movie that we like. Okay, so we have different means of getting rid of our unpleasant present by taking recourse to different activities or different things according to our taste. Okay, so the poet says that a beautiful object, it could be a beautiful memory also, that sustains us, okay, every tomorrow to live life. Understood? And it provides us a great sense of relief for every tomorrow. Understood? That's all about the theme. Now let's move straight away on to the poem. Okay, Sania, good morning. Dhanasri, good morning. Okay, now dear students, let's move on to lines 1 to 5. Okay, you see, first concentrate on the text of the poem, and then we shall discuss or I'll explain you the meanings of these lines. Okay, so you go along with me, do not go in advance. Okay, do not read the content on your screen in advance, just go along with me. Okay, a thing of beauty is a joy forever, its loveliness increases. Okay, a thing of beauty, the poet says, is a joy forever because it keeps giving us pleasure. Okay, its loveliness increases. Whatever loveliness it has, whatever pleasure it gives us, that keeps on increasing with the passing of time, because it's an object of beauty for us. It will never pass into nothingness. Okay, it will never pass into nothingness means it will never pale into insignificance. Pass into nothingness means it will never fade from our mind, it will never pale into insignificance, but will keep a bower quiet for us. Okay, it will keep a bower. Okay, bower means it is a source of pleasure for us, you can say. Okay, object of beauty will never go off. Okay, it multiplies with passage of time. Okay, for example, you see a bower quiet for us is like beauty is a beautiful object is like a beautiful tree. A bower means here a tree, beautiful tree under whose shade, the shade of a tree, okay, is what is referred to as a bower here. So a beauty is like a beautiful tree under whose shade all the creatures can sleep peacefully. Okay, a bower quiet for us here refers to the shade of a tree, and a sleep full of sweet dreams. So like the shade of a tree provides us relief, likewise a beautiful object provides us extreme happiness, extreme relief, and a comfortable sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Quiet breathing here refers to relaxed breathing, relaxed way of breathing. Okay, because when our mind remains cool, when our mind is pleasant, when our mind is very much happy, we undergo relaxed breathing. Okay, there is no heartbeat, there is no extra heartbeat, it's quite normal. Okay, so it all depends on our state of mind. Whenever we are in a relaxed state of mind, whenever we are happy, or whenever we are having a blissful experience in our life or blissful moment in our life, everything goes normal, even the breath goes normal. Okay, this is what the poet says in these 5 lines. He says that a thing of beauty is a joy forever, its loveliness always increases, it never goes into insignificance. Rather, what it does, it provides us a relief. Okay, like the shade of a tree provides us relief, likewise a thing of beauty provides us relief and also ensures sound sleep for us, which is full of sweet dreams, and we remain healthy whenever we are whenever we recollect a thing of beauty. It helps us to remain healthy and as well as breathe in a relaxed manner. So now let us go through the paraphrase once again, and then I shall move on to next few lines. The poet says that beauty stays forever, it never fades away, and it increases with the passing of time. The poet means to say that an object of beauty never goes off with the passing of time. Rather, it multiplies with passage of time. Okay, like you see, its loveliness increases means it multiplies with passage of time. According to the poet, beauty is like a beautiful tree under whose shade all the creatures can sleep peacefully. Okay, so any beautiful object is like a beautiful tree whose shade provides us lot of comfort. Okay, whose shade all the creatures can sleep peacefully and enjoy good health and relaxed breathing. So dear students, now let me move on to next few lines. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth? Okay, therefore we on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth. Okay, with this beautiful object or beautiful memory in our mind, every tomorrow we are making a bond. A flowery band means we are making our bond with the people, we interact with, okay, as strong as the beads in the garland of a flower. Okay, understood? As the flowers are all strung together in a garland, okay, they are all together. Likewise, every beautiful memory, every beautiful object in nature makes us live every tomorrow, thus making our bond with others very, very strong. Okay, and it helps us to bind ourselves to the creatures to the earth. It helps gives us sustenance to live life on this earth. So let me now go with the paraphrase. You see, the poet says that with every passing day, it is the beauty which fills us with immense joy to live on this earth. With the object of beauty providing us sustenance of life, we are being attached to the earth like all the flowers remain attached to each other in a garland of flowers. So, like all the flowers remain attached to the garland of flowers, likewise we also remain attached to the earth, okay, with the experience of beautiful thing in our life, with the memory of beautiful thing in our life, with the memory of beautiful objects in our life. We become more and more attached to the earth. Means our bond with the world becomes more and more strong whenever we have beautiful objects or beautiful memories to lean back on. This provides us a kind of a cushion. Okay, this provides a kind of a cushion to us on a day in and day out basis to weather the storm of anxiety, stress from our everyday life. Understood? So this is what is the meaning of line 6 and 7. Now let's move on to next few lines. Lines 8 to 11, you see, lines 8 to 11. Spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways made for our searching. Here, spite of refers to in spite of. Dear students, spite of means here in spite of. So in spite of despondence means sadness, state of anxiety or sadness. In spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures. Inhuman dearth. Dearth means shortage. So shortage of something is called dearth. Okay. So in spite of sadness, in spite of the shortage of good qualities among human beings. Okay, because as you can see, our society is full of cunning, mischievous people. Okay, there are very few good-natured people you can find around you. Those who are around us are very selfish, very jealous, very, very narrow-minded, and they always think about themselves. So these are the instances of the dearth of noble natures. Okay, there are people around, there are very few people who you can come across in our day-to-day life who are really kind-hearted, who are really broad-minded, who are really generous, who are really charitable. Okay, so the poet is saying that in spite of sadness, in spite of the shortage of good characteristics in human beings, in spite of the gloomy days, gloomy means sad days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways made for our searching. It means in spite of everything bad that surrounds us, in spite of everything unhealthy, in spite of everything sad, in spite of everything dark which we come across. Made for our searching means which we come across in our pursuit, okay, for life. Whatever bad things we come across, whatever unhealthy, whatever bad people, whatever dark days we come across, all are neutralized with the effect of a beautiful object or a beautiful memory. Okay, a beautiful memory helps us to sustain life, okay, and forget all the unpleasant present moment of our life. Okay, so now let's move on to the paraphrase of these lines. The poet means to say that a beautiful object has such magnetic charm that it tends to overpower everything. In spite of being depressed, in spite of having shortness of virtuous people, in spite of our sad days, trials and tribulations. Trials and tribulations means all kinds of challenges that we encounter on a day-to-day basis, which tend to restrict us to find those things of beauty. We overcome all limitations and find joy in recollecting the moment of happiness in our lives. Okay, this is very interesting, dear students. As I told you, that we have different means of forgetting our unpleasant present. Okay, some of us listen to music to forget about the worries and stress of our life. Some of us watch movies. Some of us turn to nature. Some of us go for an outing, okay, in nature, open air, so that we get some kind of a comfort, okay, to forget our stress and strain, to forget the storm and stress of our life. So this is exactly what the poet is saying. In spite of all the overdarkened ways, in spite of all the shortcomings of life, in spite of all the sad things that make us sad, we have something to lean back on. What is that? A beautiful object or beautiful moment in our life, a beautiful memory of our life. Okay, so a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Okay, a thing of beauty is a metaphor in this poem for all the beautiful things that inspire us. Okay, it could be our role model also, it could be the poster of a famous personality, it could be the song of a famous singer, it could be a beautiful flower from nature, it could be a arresting landscape of nature, it could be a beautiful waterfalls, it could be a beautiful garden. Okay, anything that appeals to our senses and makes everlasting memory in our mind is something what is a thing of beauty referred to here. The poet has described all the objects from nature in this poem that give us pleasure, but if you speak metaphorically, it could be anything. It could be a human being, it could be the poster of a famous personality, it could be the literature of a famous personality, famous author, it could be anything that gives us pleasure and creates memories in our lives. It's something what is a thing of beauty is metaphorically all about. Okay, so dear students, have you understood what I have explained you so far till line 11? Do you have any doubt? If you have any doubt regarding any of the word phrases, or say for example a particular sentence, a particular line, you can text me. I shall repeat that particular word, phrase or line for you. So kindly text me your response. Do you have any doubt in so far as what I have taught? Please text me if you have any doubt. I am awaiting your response, dear students. Okay, Arnish, okay. Anybody else who has any doubt? Kanchan, Sania, Dhanasri, anything you want me to explain till line number 11? Anything you want me to explain from line number 11 till line number 11? Okay, okay, thank you, Navya and Anish. Now let's move on to next few lines. Okay, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. So, dear students, in spite of all, in spite of everything, in spite of all the negative things that exist in our day to day life, some shape of beauty moves away the pall. Pall means the darkness from our dark spirits. Okay, dark spirit means, dear students, dark spirits here refer the phrase dark spirits here refers to the negative feeling that we develop due to our bad phase of life. Okay, dark spirits means our pessimistic bent of mind. Okay, because human beings become pessimist if they continue to undergo some bad phase in their life, then they tend to become pessimist. Okay, so the poet says that in spite of all the bad things that surround us, in spite of everything that tends to challenge us, okay, there is some shape of beauty which exists in our day-to-day life that removes all the darkness from our dark spirits. Okay, from our negative mind, from our sad mind. Okay, so now let's move on to the paraphrase to be able to understand it better. The poet emphasizes on the fact that in spite of all shortcomings of life, all the levels, all the hurdles of life, in spite of all, an object of beauty that is found in nature takes away our pain from our depressed mind. Okay, so dark spirits can otherwise be called depressed mind as well. Understood? So now let's move on to next few lines. Lines 13 to 19. Okay. Such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon, for simple sheep, and such are daffodils, the green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make, against the hot season the mild forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms. Okay, dear students, here the poet, in these few lines, the poet has made reference of all the beautiful objects of nature, or in other words, the poet has made reference of some objects from nature, okay, to give us, to give us or to justify his claim that objects in nature, objects found in nature give us a lot of happiness on a day-to-day basis. Okay, but this is in literary terms. It could be, as I told you, metaphorically speaking, it could be anything in our day-to-day life that can give us plenty of pleasure and create wonderful memories for our tomorrow. Okay, but in the context of the poem, it is they are all the objects of nature, because it's a nature poem. Therefore the poet has made mention of all the objects from nature. Okay, like the poet has made mention of the sun, the moon. Okay, because sun and moon are also the objects of nature. Okay, a very much integral part of nature, because they help us to sustain life, to live our life, because without the contribution of sun it's difficult. Okay, is the contribution of moon means entire ecosystem becomes imbalanced. Okay, if one is absent. Okay, so the coexistence of everything, dear students, okay, coexistence of anything that exists in the universe is what contributes to our living on this earth. Okay, if any of the machinery becomes malfunctional, then what happens? The entire ecosystem becomes disturbed. Okay, so anyway, the poet has made reference of the sun and the moon first. He said, such as the sun, the moon, trees old and young. It could be young trees, it could be old trees, then sprouting a shady boon. Okay, young trees, be it young trees or be it old trees, all kinds of trees give us shade, and shade is required to keep ourselves protected from the glaring sun ray. Okay, so like the young and old trees provide us shade during a hot day or during a scorching day, so these have become the object of beautiful objects, okay. Then for simple sheep and such a daffodils, simple sheep also, the innocent sheep that are found in nature, that can also provide us some kind of pleasure, because we have, the poet means to say that the innocent sheep, the simple sheep has a lot of things to teach us, to provide us. Okay, they are very much innocent, calm and quiet. So a simple sheep can also inspire us. Okay, so that is why he has taken the reference of a simple sheep also. And then such a daffodils, with the green world they live in. And then the poet goes on to make reference of daffodils also. Daffodils are beautiful flowers, which exist in nature. So daffodils can also, with the green world they live in, can be a treat for our eyes and provide us sustenance in our life. Okay. Then you can say clear rills. Rills means you can say clear streams of water. Okay, clear streams of water. Those clear streams of water might be from a waterfalls and all that. That also is a pleasure for us. Okay, that also is a pleasure for us. Okay, so dear students, he has given many examples from nature, like clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make. Like for example, dear students, what do these two lines mean? If there is a stream of water flowing nearby where there is lot of heat, then that particular water body works as a cooling feature covered for us. So dear students, excuse me, just a minute. हेलो अच्छा, तो आप कॉलोनी गेट में हो क्या? अच्छा ठीक है, तो आप ना वो सिक्योरिटी साहब के पास बात चले जाइए. हाँ ओके. हाँ सर, ये डॉक्टर साहब, ये जो मैं स्कूल का स्टाफ हूँ, तो पैकेट रख दीजिए आपके पास, बाद में 12 बजे के बाद आके लेता हूँ, 1 बजे तक. नहीं, एक्चुअली मैं स्कूल में अभी क्लास ले रहा हूँ, ऑनलाइन क्लास के बाद आके कलेक्ट कर देता हूँ उससे. हाँ दे दीजिए उनको. हाँ दे दीजिए. Okay, dear students, so with the green world they live in and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert made, if there is a water body in the place where there is lot of heat, that water body itself will absorb the heat and will provide some cool air, so giving us some cooling effect. Okay, so thus a clear stream, a waterfalls can be a source of pleasure for us. Okay, so that is why he has made reference of clear streams here. Okay, and then make against the hot season. Yeah, that is what I already explained you. And then the mid-forest break may kind of a flower, you can say, rich with sprinkling of fair mask rose blooms. Okay, it means even some sort of flowers also in the mid-forest. Okay, that also give us a lot of pleasure sometimes. Okay, so dear students, the poet has made reference of all the beautiful objects of nature in these few lines and show us how these objects of nature can be a source of inspiration, source of relief, source of pleasure for us day in and day out. Okay, but as from the modern point of view, if you consider it, it may not be relevant. Why? Because very few of us have the privilege to spare time in the lap of nature nowadays. Okay, it's a urban civilization now. It's a, it's very difficult. But of course, we are living in a place where there is a lot of nature around. Okay, but not all are fortunate enough. Okay, to be in the company of nature. So in the context of the present day scenario, it could be, dear students, anything beautiful that exists in our day-to-day life, okay, that becomes an inspiration for us, and that gives us sustenance. Okay, that is why I told you before, the metaphorically speaking, anything that gives us pleasure, any person, any personality, any book, any song, any movie, whatever becomes a source of inspiration for us, is something that provides us extreme happiness and create wonderful memories for us. Whenever we undergo some bad phase of life, we tend to lean back on those beautiful memories, okay, so that we become our unpleasant present and forget our temporary sadness of life. Okay, understood, dear students? Now let me go with the paraphrase. The poet gives the examples of the sun, moon, trees, daffodils, and small rivers and forest fern, which are the things of beauty found in nature, and they are responsible for creating beautiful memories for us during our bad phase of life. For example, trees, which are both young and old, they also provide shades to young sheep. Daffodils, by their green surroundings, are a source of perennial joy for us. Clear streams provide cool breeze and give relief from the hot season. The forest fern of musk roses is also a refreshing treat for the eyes. Okay, so this is how some of the objects mentioned in these lines give us relief and become a source of pleasure for us. Okay, so sheep explanation you see once here. Trees, both young and old, provide shades for simple sheep, to the simple sheep. Okay, so sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep means those trees which are young and old, okay, they provide sufficient shade to the simple sheep. Okay, therefore they are a source of pleasure, you can say, for the simple sheep. Okay, because they become shade. Okay, they get shade and become refreshed. Okay, so these are some of the objects of nature the poet has made reference of. So dear students, till line number 19 I have explained it today. I have run out of time. I've got to take another class of standard 11. So let me wrap up my lecture here. Okay, hopefully you have understood, and if you have any vestige of doubt left in your mind, you can always ask me through the chat box of my website. Please do sometimes write your doubt and your queries about anything related to English core, over the chat on my website. I shall certainly revert back. Okay, so thank you all of you. Sakshi, are you listening? Sakshi, are you there? Vedant. Dear students, before I wrap up, you please write yes, so that I can understand you are listening to me till the end. Starting from Sakshi to Navya, please do write yes, so that I understand that you are still connected with me. Arnish, the content of this lesson is not yet uploaded on my website. I shall be doing that this weekend, but YouTube video is there, so I will send you the link of my YouTube video so that you are able to watch the concept video of this lesson, and the text content on my website will be uploaded this weekend. Okay, on the website I shall upload the text content this weekend, but there is a concept video on YouTube which you can refer to, okay, for the explanation of the poem. Okay, so Anish, text is yet to be uploaded on my website. Okay, I shall send you the link as and when I finish uploading the content on my website. Okay, so dear students, thank you so much. Let's call it a day. Have a nice day. And today is Gandhi Jayanti, so you please watch something about Mahatma Gandhi you can read the content about him from the website. Okay, so you please pay tribute to the father of the nation by going through some content from the website, or might be from YouTube. You watch something of Mahatma Gandhi, because he is an inspiring personality for all of us. Okay, thank you dear students, thank you all of you, bye bye, take care.